Hello, hello! Welcome back to VBS Event Summaries. Today's episode is all about Toya's first focus, Nocturne Interlude. I've been really excited to read this event because I'm so curious about Toya's backstory. The extent of my knowledge thus far is only what we were shown in the main story, so I'm hoping we can get more into Toya's, issues? I'm probably going to add another Project Sekai parent to my hate list, aren't I? Anyway, the event ran on the JP server from January 31st through February 7th, 2021. The commission song for Nocturne Interlude is Rad Dogs, which I have been obsessed with recently. It's always been pretty middle of the road on my tier list of Vivid Bad Squad songs, but it couldn't beat out Fire Dance or Ultra C or anything like that. Right now, though, ooh, it's so peak. Even just the instrumentals alone, literal chills every time. Okay, I'll start the summary now. A bad omen hangs over the street Sekai in the form of a broken cup, Mako sadly tracing the fracture as she places it aside. Toya, however, is actually doing rather well. He's performing solo on the streets and is attracting a fair amount of people. But there's the issue of his father. Since Toya got home late that night, his father berates him for gallivanting around pointlessly. Of course, to Toya, his decision to pursue street music isn't pointless anymore. He's found new direction and argues with his father over what he wants for himself. It seems Toya's father is very stubborn. He said Toya was born to play classical music, which is crazy because clearly not. Toya tells him to stay out of his life and storms off to his room, hoping he can finally move on. The next day before practice, Kohane shows up late, looking a little upset. Apparently, Kohane has been doing some solo battle events as exposure therapy, and one of her mom's friends saw her walking into a live house. Kohane's parents aren't super thrilled about Kohane's new hobby and worry for her safety, which is understandable, but Kohane doesn't know how to approach the situation. An suggests inviting Kohane's parents to their next group battle event to show them that everything is safe and respectful. Toya's never thought of that. It could be worth a shot, but then again, maybe not. Sometime later, an old friend of Ken's walks into Weekend Garage while VBS is practicing. He requests a song from VBS, and they agree since he's a friend of Ken's. The old regular compliments each member of the team very accurately after the little request performance. An has the power and energy, Kohane is versatile, Akito has vibrant emotion to his voice, and Toya's pitch accuracy is essentially the backbone of the group. They're all glowing at the raving review, but the regular pulls Toya aside before he leaves. He correctly guesses Toya's classical music background and compliments him again on his technique, but it seems as though Toya can be a bit rigid sometimes. I don't think the regular means this in a bad way, but more like an area for improvement. Toya takes this very seriously though, asking for the video playback and analyzing his own performance. I wonder who could possibly be at fault here. If you guessed Toya's father, you'd be right. Toya basically had the originality and expression beaten out of him thanks to his father's obsession with perfection. Father of the Year award already, yay. The next day, Toya arrives early to Weekend Garage, though he's quickly joined by Akito. Akito immediately notices that something's bothering Toya, and Toya admits it, beating around the bush a bit before asking Akito his opinion on the matter. Akito is shocked by this, to say the least. Toya's never open about his issues, and usually tries to solve everything on his own. This guy is just so super dense. How did Toya not realize he does this? Ken comes back with Toya's coffee and also tries to lift Toya up a bit, who again is surprised that someone noticed he was feeling down. Toya versus realizing people care about him challenge, impossible, not clickbait. In any case, Toya is able to talk about his problem with both Akito and Ken. While Akito and Ken both agree that Toya sounds fine to outsiders, Toya isn't all that convinced. He accepts Akito's opinion right away and dismisses his doubts about his own singing quality, but he still feels as though his overall expression isn't as free as it could be. Ken theorizes that Toya could be feeling this way because of something else related to classical music, rather than his background up until this point. Correct assumption! Akito guesses it's about Toya's dad, and Toya's face all but confirms it. He tells them about their fight and how Toya thinks everything's been resolved, but Ken isn't too sure about that. Clearly, everything is not resolved. Though it's not like Toya can snap his fingers and magically make his father understand, so the best course of action may be to prepare for the worst and face everything head on. I'm not too sure of that myself, but, whatever works, I guess. Though he appreciates Ken's advice, Toya doesn't think confronting his dad directly is the best idea. Neither does Akito, who talks with Toya as they walk home together. There really isn't a point to talking with someone who's already against you from the start, but it's something Toya has to do in order to fix his issues. And since they're affecting the group, he doesn't really have a choice. Akito watches him go, wishing there was some way he could help. Toya's dad is in the living room when he arrives at home, a flyer for VBS's next show crumpled in his hands. The conversation quickly devolves into a screaming match between the two, Toya's father calling his son's life uncouth and empty, which is actually the opposite. Toya feels more fulfilled now than he ever has. He begs his dad to understand, and when he can't get through to him, runs out of the house. Predictably, Toya is super off at practice the next day. His mood doesn't escape the eyes of An and Kohane either, who prompt Toya to tell them the truth of what's going on. Akito gives that final nudge, and Toya ends up spilling everything. Which actually includes some stuff about Toya's family. So, his father, Harumichi, is a renowned classical musician both in Japan and overseas. He's quite popular as a pianist in Vienna and is known for his compositions in Japan. Toya's two older brothers were also trained in classical music, the eldest now a professional and the middle brother studying abroad in New York. Unfortunately, Toya's mother and brothers tend to take their father's side in most things. It seems as though Toya is completely alone in his own family. None of the VBS members can think of anything as the cafe starts to get busier and busier. So why not head over to the Sekai? Seems like a quieter place to theorize. Miku brings up a good point. Classical music and street music are both types of music. Toya's father must be so adamant about his musical legacy because he loves it so much, right? This makes Toya realize something. His father firmly believes that classical music is the best way for someone to make their mark on the world, to find happiness in life. He just wants Toya to be happy. While it's true that he shouldn't be going about his wish this way, and he shouldn't be forcing Toya to follow a path he doesn't want to walk, Toya's father thinks his son is abandoning the happiness he's been trying to provide. And yet Toya's found his happiness. He just needs to communicate that to his father. Akito sees Toya off again that night with a really sweet message. He doesn't want Toya to forget how much he loves music, because if he really wanted to get away from it, he would have, right? And Toya says this very colorful line in response, if you know what I mean. "I'll never forget how well you understand me, Akito. Not ever." I know what you are. When Toya's father gets home, the conversation begins right away. At first, it seems as though nothing will be different. Toya's dad still tries to diminish and berate his son, but as Toya begins to explain his choices and the reasoning behind them, his father softens. At first, it was about running away. Toya couldn't bear the stress and chose to pursue something he knew his father would hate. But then he found friends, and they showed him a type of music he could truly love. Toya hands his father a ticket to their next show and asks, "Please come and listen to my resolve with your own ears. This music is as important to me as classical music is to you. I've never wanted to hold on to something so much before. I really want you to understand that, because you're the one who introduced me to the joy of music." Wow, he has such a way with words. Usually, I try to make these emotional scenes a little bit more impactful by adding some imagery in my own retelling, but Toya did such a great job here I had to include it as it was written. A+, Toya. He thanks his father for everything, for listening, for teaching him music, and for leading him to meet his close friends. Then he leaves. He has to give it his all tomorrow, no matter what. Though Toya said what he needed to say and handed over the ticket, there's nothing more he can do to convince his father to come to their show. All he can do now is sing, and with the rest of his team by his side, they're gonna crush the competition. And they do! Well, I mean, the event doesn't specify if they win or not, but you know what? They win in my heart. Toya's just reached an entirely new level, being able to support his team through instinct rather than logic. He's still that much-needed backbone for VBS, but he's shining in his own right, too. The other members are absolutely blown away by Toya's growth, especially Akito. Though in the end, Toya's dad didn't show up. Kohane's dad did, though. He was super supportive and understanding once he saw her perform in person. What a guy. Oh, what's this? It seems Toya's dad did actually come to see their show. He just hid in the back and didn't let anyone see him. Alright, buddy, no need to act all cool. All he says to Toya is that he can't understand the appeal in that type of music. But it's not said in anger. Maybe he is beginning to understand, even if just a little bit. Hey, remember that broken cup from the beginning of the event? Well, it looks like Miku's repurposed it to be a planter for growing some thyme, since the crack can act like drainage holes for the water. A bad omen turned good, right? Well, I certainly think so. So, would you say that event was pretty rad? Maybe? Alright, okay, I know, that was a bit of a stretch. I just had to bring it back to Rad Dogs because, again, it's all I can listen to lately. It's no secret that Rad Dogs is peak. In fact, it's probably one of the most popular VBS songs, especially in early game standards. It's a bit unfortunate that it doesn't have a 3D MV though. But that does mean they chose Fragile to be the live show song, which is an Akitoya duo cover. They called it The Usual Number. Y'all are not slick. All that aside, I really liked how Toya's dad still isn't accepting Toya yet. It's too much of a driving force for Toya to be resolved this early. Nicely done, Sega. Alrighty, the next event on the list is... seriously? More dog references? Akito's first focus is called Stray Bad Dog. Won't it be funny when they reveal that Akito is scared of dogs? I'll see you then.